Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Chandramogan, founder, ExRx India, our exercise testing and prescription organization. A warm welcome to all the delegates for this two-day national webinar on research topics. Thanks for taking time to register in this two-day national webinar. And we have our resource person, Dr. Prem Kumar, holds a PhD in tourism studies and MBA international business and MBA in tourism at master's level. Having interest in research, he has published 21 papers in UGC, UGC CARE, peer-reviewed and ABDC indexed journals. He is a member of review committee for 3 international journals and reviewer of research papers for Sage, Francis and Tyler, and Emerald publications. He likes to be pertinent in research-driven teaching and information dissemination. We welcome you, sir. Over to you.
Very good evening to each and everyone. I welcome all the participants for this 2 days webinar. In this webinar, especially we are going to discuss about what are the things we have to take care when we think about publishing a paper, when we think about writing something which is a part of curriculum either for PhD or maybe for some participants it may be a part of their master's curriculum, or it may be a part of your future growth once we have completed the PhD. Because when we see the matter of publishing, it is associated with a research scholar and faculty for the time period, up to which we are associated with the teaching. And it's a part and parcel of our teaching career also. We cannot avoid it. And we, for each and everything like promotion or making our API scores, this publication in different journals, publication in good journals especially, which are indexed in recognized indexing agencies is very much required. So now we think that when we are writing something or when we have done a proper research, why we want to publish it. So there may be different reasons for which we are going to see today, different aspects of that. So just let me share the PPT once, and then we will go in detail. Okay. I hope the PPT is visible for everyone.
Yes, sir. Go for full screen.
Yes. Okay. So before I start with the formal session, I would like to request that if at any point of time any participants are having any questions on the moment, they can interrupt very well, and we can discuss whatever queries you have in between as well. There is no need to wait till the end of the presentation. So now as we start with the presentation, we will see there basically 3 major points we will cover in today's seminar. That what do we publish, why there is a requirement of publication, and what is the process of a particular publication, to which audience we write. Because when we are writing something, we have to take care of several things in our mind, that why we are writing, for whom we are writing. And sometimes it is also very much necessary to know or to decide that for which journal we are writing. Because once we go in publication field, we see that there are different types of requirements from different journals. There are different timelines also, in which journal will accept the paper and they will take time for reviewing and finalizing the paper and completing the publication process. So seeing all these things, we make a decision that where we have to publish and to which journal we want to give our paper. Second, the basic focus will be on the structure of the research article. which is the very much important component of publishing, that what is the particular structure of a research article. So in this, we will start with a little bit of thought that how it has started, what kind of structure people were following or researchers were following in the beginning, and how in due course of time it has developed, and currently what kind of structure is preferable for any research article or any type of article. We will also see that what are the different types of writing. Sometimes you would have seen in journals that there are some short communications, there are some reviews also written, book reviews also, which we can publish in very well established journal. It's not only the research paper or the research output we can publish. Along with that, there are different categories also which are invited by different journals for publication process. And these publications will also fetch you the same numbers or same API scores as the research papers. Although there may be a little bit of difference in weightage, but as per UGC, you will have the same marks given for any interview process or any promotion process or calculation of API scores. In the last, we will have understanding of writing process also, as we will see that there are different steps or structures in a research article. So certainly there will be a question that from which section we shall start first. Or we might have witnessed this event that whenever we get a notification of any conference and seminar, we see that where the topic is or the theme of conference is matching with our interest or not. Sometimes even if it is not matching with our PhD topic or research topic, we want to work something, we want to present something or publish something, and immediately we start writing. So there will be a confusion that from which section we shall start. Usually, even if we don't have any paper, we make a mistake that we will write an abstract and we will send it immediately to the conference for the conference invitation, and then we start working for the paper. So we will see in this section whether these kind of ideas or these kind of process are right or not. What is the right process of starting with writing the paper once we have all the data, or suppose once we have completed our research work during PhD or through a project, or maybe through a master's thesis, master's internship, then to which section we shall start first, how we will sit, and what is the particular section which we will pick the first. So that will come under chronology of writing. So let us take the first topic, that when we talk about research, I'm sure that we all have the basic idea behind the research that the same incident or the same data can be researched from different angles also. With the same respondents, we can ask similar questions, but it depends upon our notion of getting some kind of results, or it depends that which kind of tools we are applying for the same data. Based upon the application of tools or based upon our interest in the result, we can have different types of outputs. That is the reason we use the term research, searching maybe the same thing, same incident again and again. Or we might have seen that similar kind of scales, similar kind of questions are being asked from different or same respondents, but we may take different types of ideas, or we may take different types of results from the same population. That is why we use the term research. So mostly it depends upon our idea behind what kind of results we want, or towards what kind of journey we are taking the research process. So in this process, we see that research is called as an art also, because immediately if we decide that we have to write a paper, we have to do a research, then it's highly impossible, because there are different things which we need to learn, and slowly we acquire the skill of writing a paper or doing a research by experience, through study or through observation. Sometimes we need to consult different types of journals, books, or we need to observe the other researchers also. We need to observe the research work of other authors which are present in our similar field or similar area of interest. Through that, we can learn. or sometimes we acquire similar type of questions, a scale which has been used by other researchers in our area. And then we collect data from a different set of respondents, and we come to a result that whether with the different set of respondents, results are similar or dissimilar with the earlier research. And that output can be reported and published in form of an article. So it's an art also, which we learn by giving some time. We cannot do it instantly. Second, when I say that there are different sections of an article or different sections in a journal paper, so from where to start, how to start, then how to put the entire information in a particular order. So there are particular type of formats which we have to follow. And there are different things also which we have to put in the research paper. So we also call it that it's a systematic inquiry, or it's a science where we learn that how systematically we have to do the research. For example, you would have learned in the research process that what is the particular research process. There are 7 to 8 process of particular research, starting with the maybe finding the gap or finding the research problem, and then going for literature review, designing a questionnaire, research design. All these things are there, which comes systematically. So we say that it's a scientific method also, where we have to follow a particular systematic process. If we omit or if we escape any particular process, then our research work will not be considered as complete. We may not be able to get proper results, or results will not have the proper quality when we look into it from different tools applications point of view. So in a nutshell, we can say that research is in both art and science. Similarly, writing a research paper is also an art and science, because once we have our output, suppose once we have collected the data, then we need to learn that what kind of tools will be applied and how it has to be applied. Once we have applied the tools, once we have got the results, then comes the interpretation of results. How to interpret one result, how to compare the result from the earlier researchers, and then how to examine the results, how to correlate it with the other results, how to correlate the different factors between each other. So that becomes an art of the researcher, and we will see that with the same results, different type of researcher will interpret in a different way. So when you write a thesis for PhD, we will see that you will see that there are different types of interpretation. Now it depends upon our wisdom or our experience that how well we are defining it. So hence we can conclude from this that research writing is also an art and science, where we develop this skill through experience, and there are particular process in writing the research paper also which we have to follow. So it's a scientific and systematic way which we need to follow. Moving ahead, we will see that what is the purpose of all this. So as I have given a brief idea that first of all, we may want to share the knowledge which we have gained among the other researchers. That is the first idea, because you would have seen that many good researchers, they have different types of academic profiles. They have their Google Scholar profile, then they have their profiles on ResearchGate, they have their profile on maybe academia, or any other type of profiles are there, or like ORCID profile nowadays, Web of Science profiles are there, or we have profile of Government of India, given by Government of India, that is called a Vidwan profile. So these are the different types of profile through which we want to share the knowledge, or we want to spread a word among the researchers community that what kind of research we have done. Not only to share the knowledge, but to get some kind of benefit also, because when they are reading our paper, when they are quoting our name in their papers, we will also be noticed. We will also get some kind of citations, ultimately, which will help in our career advancement. So that is the first idea behind writing. Then show the uses of the study in practical terms. Whatever we are researching, whatever output we are getting from our research, most of us want to apply it in the real world also. or sometimes when we are doing a research on a practical problem which is happening. Or for example, if we are doing some research in social science or health sciences, we are taking a case. Suppose we have taken 1 or 2 cases in which people are suffering from a particular problem, particular disease, and we want to test their situation. We want to apply some kind of measurements, and then we are sharing the result with the researchers community. So there, with the result, our aim is that in future, other researchers will also use our technique so that people will heal faster or people will get remedy very fast, or it can be used by the larger community. So for users also, we want to share the result, we want to publish it. Then informing public about implications of the results. So informing public in the sense, informing those people who are in a position to implicate or to apply the results, such as, for example, whenever you read a paper, you will see that in paper there will be a section in which they may mention about the managerial implications of the results. So by this, we mean to say that the people who are at a position who can implement the results, or people who are like, if it is a hospital, then who are the doctors, then hospital administration. If it is, we can take a case of social sciences, then there are different types of people who are looking into these kind of things, like implicating the results or putting the results in a practical form. So we want to inform them all. We want to share the information with them all. So these are the few basic idea behind the writing, or basic, we can say, objectives of writing a research paper. Now we see that when we are talking about writing, there will be a question that what to write, or are there different formats of writing? So you would have seen that when we are writing a full article, it may be different types of articles also. We might have heard about qualitative articles, or qualitative research, quantitative research, or experimental articles. So by the name itself, we can define that if we are doing a qualitative research in which, suppose, we have asked some type of questions from the respondents, if we have taken their interview, it is called as qualitative research. And in turn, if we are writing a paper out of these results, we call it as a qualitative articles. For example, if we can take it in each and every type of research work. Then second is quantitative article, in which mostly we are collecting the data based upon quantity, such as we are focusing upon, or we are asking the respondents to rate something based upon quantity, such as values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or we may be asking them to ranks in an order for a particular character or for a particular factor. And the results also are coming in form of quantity, such as percentage, frequency, pie chart, graph chart we are using, or we may be applying some kind of tools, factor analysis, regression, quasi-experiment, or any other type of quantitative data analysis. If we are doing, we call it as a quantitative paper. If we are publishing it, most of the quantitative tools will be applied and results will be interpreted. There may be experimental articles also, in which we are doing some kind of experiment. Now, this experiment may be for the life sciences people also, such as in vitro or in situ experiment. Either we do the experiment inside the lab, in the room conditions or the fixed conditions, or we may be doing experiment in the open environment where conditions are not fixed. So it may be experimental articles also. Then in second, that means it's a full article talking about the research process earlier, which has happened, then what kind of data we have collected, what kind of output we have achieved. Second case may be of letters or short communications, which are also invited by most of the good journals, which are established journals. So here what happens that if there is a new upcoming topic, or if there is a new upcoming research in which most of the researchers have not published, they may be inviting letters or short communications. So when we check the criteria for full article or letters or short communication, we will find that on an average, good journals will be maybe asking from 5,000 words to 7,000 words for writing a full article, whereas for the letters or short communications, it may be 2000 to 3000 words also that can be published. So it will be very small, and it may also be early communication of an ongoing research. Suppose we are doing a research on a particular novel topic which has not been published much, and we have some kind of preliminary results with us, or we have some kind of studies done. So rather than waiting for our research work to be complete and then going for publication, in the beginning also we can go for a short communication, and we can inform the community, researcher community, that so-and-so results are expected from this kind of research. So that also can be published if it is a relevant or if it is a new topic that can be sent to a journal. Third category is for the review papers, which again may be conventional, qualitative, quantitative, or nowadays we have different formats of review paper also, such as systematic literature review. We have meta-analysis papers on literature review. Or basically in this, what we do that in the similar area of research or in a particular one area of research, we collect as many as papers can be possible. Then there will be different criteria of collecting the papers also. For example, either we are focusing upon one indexing agency such as Scopus, or we are focusing upon Web of Science papers. That means those articles which are published in journals indexed by Scopus, or in a journal which is published by Web of Science index journals, or we may go by the publisher also. Some journals which may be published in Elsevier, Francis and Taylor, or likewise Wiley and other publications also. So we pick any particular one resource and we try to collect all the articles which have been published so far in the particular area or with the particular keywords. And then we come up with a brief idea that what is the condition of research so far in this particular area or particular domain. So that can be called as review papers. So now when we compare the article length of review papers and these three types, review papers will be of highest number of words. So review papers may go up to 10,000, 9,000 or more than that words also. Whereas letters or short communications are the shortest form of publications which we can do. So these are the three basic type of publications which I can say, in which we can categorize. And when we try to publish these things, in the very first we can decide that which type of article we have to publish. Either we want to go for full article. So here we have to make a note that if we want to go for full article, we should have the entire matter of the article. That means we should have a good review of literature, we should have collected the data, and we have finished with the analysis, and then only we can go for the full article. Suppose we want an early publication. There might be some reason, and either for API score or for promotion or for submission at some place. In that case, we can go for the letter or short communication also. That will also give us the best advantage, and we will share the early results with the researcher community also. So that also can be done. Third is for review papers, which if I say that review papers will take a very good amount of time also. In most of the cases, it takes more time than even the full articles, because sometimes what happens, we may not have the direct access to these indexing agencies, because most of the journals, maybe paid journals are there, and we may not have the subscription. We need to pay for the articles, or we need to find a place from which I can download the article, go to different institutions, go to different colleges, universities, which are having the subscription of journal, then download the papers. So it may take some time, but review papers will also give a good weightage, and most of the people will be citing the review papers also. Because here we give the entire idea around the topic which have been researched so far. So that way it will have great importance also. So these are the few three basic type of writings which we can do, which we can decide that in which type of writing we have to start or we have to publish in different journals. Now moving ahead, we can see that whenever we are writing something, so there are few things which we have to keep in mind, such as coherence. That means whenever we are writing, we have to give the entire information. We shall not leave any particular information. For example, you might have heard that, or most of the participants know that in an article there are different sections, for example, introduction, abstract, review of literature, analysis, and all. So with the coherence, we want to say that when we are writing introduction, there are different components or subcomponents which are necessary for writing the introduction part. So we have to include each and every type of subsection in the introduction. We shall not leave anything. Second is organization. That means how we have to organize the different sections and subsections of a journal. So when you see the journal requirement from any publisher, we will have a clear indication that what kind of organization you should be following. Either it is an IMRD structure in general, which we are going to discuss later also. So introduction, methods, research, results, and discussion. So this was the primary structure which was developed and followed by many researchers till lately. So that kind of structure, we have to decide the organization. Third is relevance. So what kind of studies we are including. When we are about to publish a paper, we are going through the early research. We are collecting different papers in the similar area. And we see that whatever literature reviews we are collecting or whatever papers we are collecting, it should be relevant to our topic. Then we have to decide that to what extent it should be relevant. In other words, we can say that those research papers which we are including in our research, to what extent it should be old also. Like most of the time, we try to collect research papers which are within 10 years. Like if it is 2024 when we want to publish, so we will aim for all the research articles which we are collecting for our paper. It should be within 2014 to 2024. So within 10 years, that is an ideal suggestion given by many authors and researchers, that our papers should be up to date. Our papers should be recent papers which we are including in our research. If most of the papers have been published in last 5 years, that is well and good. So we have to look for the relevance of the research papers which we are collecting, and relevant journal also will be there for the publication. Sometimes whenever we are looking for particular journal for publication, we have to see the journal's aim and scope. So the journal should be publishing most of the research papers in the similar area on which we are writing the paper. It should not be a different area journal. Otherwise, there will not be a good readership for our paper, and we may not be able to get the good number of citation in that case. Fourth is a clarity. That means whatever we are writing, it should be very clear, which we will see in tomorrow's topic also, that how we are using the English, what kind of tense we are using, what kind of jargons we can use in the research paper while writing, and what is the easiest way to write anything so that readers can understand it very easily. So clarity is also very much important when we are writing. So these things we have to keep in mind when we have to write. Now we will move on to the second part of the today's session, which is article template. That means when we have already completed a research work, suppose we have collected the data and we have done with the analysis. Now the big question comes that how to put it all in the writing form, from where to start, and in each and every section, what we have to write. So we see that, as I have already given a picture, that there was a common form of article structure, which we called IMRD. So it was the case of around 1964, if I correctly remember, that earlier, most of the research was happening in the area of life sciences. Basically, in the chemistry, it was developed. The IMRD format was developed. Before that, people were just reporting the results, and they were not following any particular type of organization of the article or organization of the information. So IMRD was the first type of organization or this article structure which was proposed, in which people used to write some introduction, then they move on the methods, they will come to the results, they will report the results, and they will discuss something about the results. That means they will highlight the good and bad of the research work, pros and cons of the research work. They will compare it with the earlier researchers, with earlier research which has happened. So these four were the basic criteria which was given. But later on, after 1964, there are many advancements in the research. And at present, these are the basic things, 10 important points, which are highly necessary for writing any article. So title, abstract, keywords, and other things are there, which are visible here on the slide. So we see here that nowadays, for each and every topic, we give more emphasis while writing the research. So starting from the title, we have to give the importance. There are a lot of things which we need to learn while writing the title or while fixing the title, or I can be very sure that if most of the participants are doing PhD or they are in course of duration of PhD, they might have done a lot of discussion with their guides while coming to a particular title of the PhD work. Or even if it is a master's thesis, master's project work, you will have a lot of discussion we will have before fixing a particular title. So that is also important. So now we are going to take up each topic or each heading one by one. So as you can see, this is the IMRD model, which was given basically in 1964. And later on, it was developed by around 2000 or 2011. So here you can see there are different things has been given, such as if it is a title, people will think that what is the importance of title, what kind of abstract should be there, then introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusions, and acknowledgements were given. So here, if you see some points given in dotted line, that means it was added later on. So here this picture has been taken by an article, Improving the Writing of Research Papers, IMRD and Beyond, which was published in 2011 by Jiang Wu. In that, he has added that there might be requirement of giving the emphasis on study site. There might be requirement of discussing or including a section of conclusion and acknowledgements also. So here we see from the time of evolution of writing the papers, there is a evolutionary development in adding different types of sections and subsections in the IMRD process. So here we can see, if we see the latest articles which have been published, that we can see that now equal emphasis has been given on each and every type of subsection, such as starting from title. So now we have a lot of pros and cons before finalizing our title also, that in our title, what kind of things we can include, what should be the ideal length of the title, what should be the ideal number of words used for the title, and what kind of reflection should come. Because most of the time when we are searching a research paper in any database, first we will read the title and we will read the abstract. So these both things are important. So even if a journal is there which we have not subscribed, most of the journal papers will allow readers to go through the title and abstract. Maybe from the introduction, it will not be visible until unless we have subscribed the journal, but abstract and title are available for each and every reader, which also acts as a promotional material for the research paper. So there is a lot of importance for title and abstract. So as we all know that abstract is a brief introduction of the entire paper. It discusses about different matters which has been included in the paper, so that we will see one by one, starting from the title to the references, that what are the different things which we have to include, what are the different important points which we have to include under each and every heading. So we'll start with the title, that what kind of importance is there with the title. So when we are writing title, so we see that it should have a very clear meaning. That means it should not have a vague meaning. If we are writing something, sometimes we include the process in writing. For example, you might have seen in the title of any research paper, they have written that comparison of so-and-so factors. So by this, The author means to say that we are going to compare the process, or we are going to find out something. Somewhere you will see in title, they will write exploring so-and-so factors. That means they are going to explore the factor. Sometimes they have given a particular name of the tool or analysis which have been applied. Sometimes you will see in a title, they will write a case study. That means it is a case study. It may be a single case study. It may be multiple case studies also. So we have to be very clear whatever we are writing in the title, and it should have a clear meaning. Then who are our subjects? That sometimes it is also coming in the title. That means either we are focusing upon young adults, either we are focusing upon a particular type of tourist, either we are focusing upon a particular type of consumers, or we may be focusing upon particular type of patients who are suffering with so-and-so illness, or they are having particular type of conditions or situations. So that also we can include. That is called as subjects. That means for which we are doing this study. Sometimes we may also include the area also, that in which area we are doing this study. So you will see in some headings, they will include the particular name of the place or particular name of the country also where it has been studied. That is also important. We may include the process. So it may be an intervention in case of health sciences. It may be an observation. It may be a survey process, analysis, or tool in case of social sciences also we can see. So you might have seen in a lot of studies that title is having the particular word as intervention of so-and-so technique, observation of so-and-so people, a survey done among young adults of India, like that we can include in the title. It depends upon our requirement that what we want to include the title. So you can see there is a list such as where, in which setting we are doing it, what is the area or what is the place we are doing, what kind of study it is. As you may remember that we were talking about the full article and different types of articles such as qualitative, quantitative. So sometimes you will see in title, we may include the qualitative study. We can also say it's a quantitative study. That may also come. Sometimes we reflect our outcome and we try to make a sort of sentence with the title, with including all these words from the subject, from the process, including the area, including the type of study, or including the outcome. We jumble the words and we try to make an attractive article, which is not a full sentence, but it will act as a sentence and it should be a catchy. So that when people see, they get more information as much as possible from the title, and they understand more that in what sense this study has been done, what kind of results are there in the study. If I am also looking towards those results, I should refer that article immediately. So that kind of notion should come in the mind of the reader when they go through our title of the research paper. So, and it should contain the relevant keywords. That means those keywords with which any reader will look into Google Scholar or Scopus or Web of Science while searching for the research article. So we will see the example of relevant keywords also. Usually you would have seen that after title, we write the abstract, and below abstract, there will be some keywords. So those keywords are the important words with which anyone will search for a particular article in any indexing agencies or any databases. So those keywords should reflect in our title also. Those keywords are the words which are regularly used throughout our research paper. It may be used in each and every section of the research paper. That is why we call it as a keywords. That means these are important words which have been used repeatedly by the researcher throughout the paper. So those keywords, it's not necessary all the keywords, but few of them should come in the title also. So we are going to see very soon the examples. And including all these things, there is a restriction also, suggestion also given that if our title is including 10 to 12 words, maximum 15 words given by some authors also, then it is understood as a standard length of the title. So we shall avoid keeping our title for more than 15 words. It is applicable in the case of journal publication, writing a research paper. It is also applicable in the case of fixing a PhD title also when we are moving towards writing the thesis. So we shall keep our title up to these number of words. And it may also have an aim of the work also, which we want to do. And there are a few things also which we need to avoid giving in the title, such as we need to avoid giving the abbreviations in the title, short form of anything, until unless it is very common. So for example, if I write DNA or RNA, people will easily understand that it's a deoxyribonucleic acid or ribose nucleic acid. People can know in life sciences field, there is no requirement of writing the full article. If I am writing ICT, people can understand information communication technology. So these are the very common words which are used in the researcher domain. So these kind of abbreviation we can include in the title, but we shall not include any type of abbreviation which is not common in the researcher community. That we have to avoid. And whatever we are writing out of this title, whatever words we are using, there should not be any ambiguity. That means if we are saying young adults, that we have to define who are young adults. That we will see. Now we will see some examples that what kind of title may be there. So if you take an example of health sciences or life sciences, you can see that number of words are coming around 15. We have an example from tourism also. There are also the example, if you see number of words are between 10 to 15 itself, not more than that. Now the second section of writing an article is abstract. So moving ahead from the title, we are moving towards abstract. So about abstract, we can say that abstract is a very good promotional material for our article. That means, as I said, that title and abstract for any paper is easily available from any publisher. And even if we are not subscribing the journal, we are entitled or we are allowed to read the abstract and to understand the importance of the paper. So abstract should be written in such a way that most of the important information can be given in nutshell, or like we can take example of real world also. As you see that there is a very good movie coming up, you will see that before releasing the movie, they release the trailer of the movie. Short form, snippets of the movies will be there. So after seeing the trailer, we decide whether that movie will be interesting for me or not, what kind of songs, what kind of action scenes, what kind of dialogue delivery we can expect in the movie. So similarly, abstract acts as a trailer for the movie, which is going to be the entire paper. So we have to structure our abstract in such a way that snippets of information, small information from each and every section should be given. So because of that, you might have seen in any journal requirement, some journals will ask for a structured abstract. Some journals will tell you unstructured abstract to provide. But it's always better to write a structured abstract to follow a particular pattern. So if you are seeing the structured pattern example in which you have introduction in white color, introduction or background, aims or objectives, methods, finding, and conclusion. So these are the important information we have to arrange in systematic order. Then we may be able to write a very good abstract. And here you can see some taken from some authors that when we are writing some introduction or background, it should be 25%. That means we all have from all journal, there will be a direction that abstract should be written between maybe 200 to 300 words. Some journal will ask you 500 words, but I guess 300 words is the medium or like common type of instruction given by most of the journals, that our abstract should be having 300 words ideally, and around it, maybe 250 to 500. So out of these words, we have to decide that 25% should go to introduction. That means when we are starting with the introduction, till maybe few lines, we have to discuss about the introduction. Then we have to discuss, in that we have to discuss about the problem or literature gap which we are fixing, such as we can start with the current situation, what is happening with the particular problem, and then which kind of problem has not been addressed so far. So that becomes our literature gap. We can also discuss the problem statement. And then we go to the methodology. That means what kind of study we have done. Either it is a qualitative, quantitative, what kind of data we have collected, from whom we have collected the data, what kind of tools we have applied. So these things we can discuss under the methodology, which will be again 1/4 of the abstract. So if it is a 500 words abstract, which has been asked by the journal, so easily we can donate 125 words, which we can give for background, 125 for methodology, then 35% for the results. That means we are highlighting our results which we have got. It may be a comparison results, it may be a match and mismatch with the earlier researchers, or it may be a new kind of insight which we have got. So snippets of the results also we can include in the abstract, and then we can discuss about the implications. That means our results, how our results can be applied in the real world, or what kind of benefits will be there once these results can be applied to the actual world, or applied for the different patients, applied with the different data, or these kind of results can be used by the different industries. That also we can say that comes under implications. So these are the 4 basic sections which we can include in our abstract. And if we are writing the name, such as if we are writing introduction and then we are discussing introduction, if we are writing objectives and then we are giving some objectives, it is called as structured abstract, which we will find in some journals. If we are simply starting with the introduction without giving this subheading inside the abstract, we call it as unstructured abstract. So depending upon the journal requirement, we can frame the abstract, or we can arrange with headings or without headings inside the abstract. So here we see, or we can follow the rule of 10 also. When we are writing an abstract, 1 to 2 sentences for the introduction and aims, 2 to 3 sentences for materials and methods. That means how we have collected data, from where we have collected, what is the timeline of data collection, then what type of study it is, qualitative or quantitative, or observation, case study, or a survey method has been applied, that we can discuss. And then we can come to the results in 2 to 3 lines. Finally, we can discuss the comparisons, conclusions, or implications in 2 to 3 sentences. So this is the nutshell idea behind writing a very good abstract for any type of journal, or it is applicable in any type of research, either it is social sciences, health sciences, life sciences. We can follow these rules equally for each and every type of abstract structure. Now further, this is an example of the abstract that highlighted colors denote that these are the different sections which has been written in the abstract. So the first yellow color highlights shows that it is the introduction and aim of the research work, then goes by materials, objectives, material and methods, and then the results and implications. So likewise, we can arrange the abstract, we can define, we can write a very good abstract. In the health sciences also we can see, and here you can notice the highlighted color in yellow. We can see those are the words which are understood as the keywords. So here you can see in keywords, it is given malaria model. So you can see modeling malaria is in the title also. So left side we have the picture of title, and right side we have the abstract. So in abstract also you can see at various places they have mentioned model of malaria, or if we see other keywords which have, so these keywords have come frequently inside the abstract, more than 1 places they have been mentioned. So we have to be very careful when we are writing a title, abstract, and keywords, because the title, abstract, and keywords are available for the researcher community free of cost. Each and every journal will show title and abstract equally to each and every one. Now, if we want to see the full article, then the question will come whether the journal is open access or not, whether we have subscribed the journal or not. So that is the reason title, abstract, and keywords are the promotional method for our writing or for our research paper. So the words which we are using in keywords, it should come frequently. It should be used in the title. It should come frequently in the abstract and throughout the paper also. So we have to decide wisely, and then we have to decide wisely on number of keywords also. So each and every journal will have a particular specification that how many keywords should be there. Ideally, it will be 5. Some journals may also ask for 7 keywords. So depending upon the journal criteria, journal direction, we can include the number of keywords. We can decide which are the important keywords for our research work. So here we can see most of the aspects of the paper will be there in the journal. It should be 5 in number, but basically we can look into the journal style and what kind of direction is given by journal. Then we can decide on the number of keywords. Moving ahead, we see the introduction, which is the fourth important heading or fourth important structure we can see in the organization of a research paper. So in the introduction, what happens that basically we have to give an idea about the research which have happened so far. Like whatever topic we pick, we find that a lot of studies has happened. And for each and every topic, we cannot jump into directly discussing the topic. So we have to give some background about the topic, that our topic is related to which area, in which area it has to be applied. And then we go slowly to the problem and identifying the gap of the particular area. So you can take these all points in a sequence we can discuss while writing the introduction. First of all, we set the context of the study, that in which area we are going to study, from where our topic has been taken, or what is the research so far done in this area. What is the data? Sometimes we may include some data also, that how many researchers have done it, or what is the data, such as if we are doing some research related to GDP, research related to some kind of disease also. There we can give what is the percentage of people who are suffering from this particular type of situation or disease, or what is the data given by Indian government, given by state government related to the study, or what is the data available with the industry. So these kind of things can be given in the background. And then we come to the problem or gap. So given the context, we say that this particular problem is existing in the research world, or this is the particular gap, or this is the problem which is prevailing in this area, which has not been studied by the earlier researchers, or there are scarcity of the researchers who have addressed these kind of problems. So through this, what we do, we set the context of the study, then we say what is the actual problem still persisting in this area, or what is the gap we are trying to address, or to what we are going to study. We also discussed that if this is an area or gap, if there are few researchers who have studied, what kind of solutions they have given, whether these solutions are good or not, to what extent these are applied in the industry, or to what extent these methods are applicable among the researcher community, or among the hospitals, among the doctors, among the managers, how it is applicable, whether it is having a good ground for application or not. We can have a discussion also for the all studies which are existing. And then also we can discuss their limitations. Sometimes when we read the research paper, the author themselves will discuss that what is the limitation with the research. So that also we can include in the background. So basically in introduction, we will discuss about the earlier research. We set a context of the study. We discuss about the problem and gap which we are going to identify. And then we come to the particular theories or factors also. We discuss that because of this problem, there are few factors which are responsible for this particular problem. And these are the factors which we are going to address. We are going to find out a relationship between these factors, or we are going to find out the effect of particular molecule, particular drug on the patient. We are going to find out the particular effect of particular technique when we apply on the patient, whether they will get a relief from some type of situation or not. And in this case, what are the theories have been given? What are the factors are responsible? Either time or particular technique is responsible, time is responsible for that, or particular method of application of technique is responsible. So these things we can discuss. These things can be portrayed as the aims or objective of the study that we can include in the introduction itself, and how it can be used for the future research, how it can be used for the in future, it can be used by the researchers or the practitioners. That also can be given in the introduction very well. Now we see that when we are writing an introduction, it should be well balanced. That means each and every component has to be discussed. It should be current also. As I said, that when we are looking for the research papers, it should be within most of the research papers, either in our thesis or in our research paper. It should be a recent research papers, maybe within 10 years of the research papers. We can also include the old research papers, maybe 25, 50 years old also, provided they are giving some solid content. They are discussing about a major established theory, which is very important for our topic. In that case, we are free to include the very old papers also, but still most of the papers, say 70 to 80% of papers, should come from the last 10 years only, because they will give us an idea that what is the latest fashion or what is the latest development in the particular area, what kind of research have come out of the research work which has happened in the 10 years or 5 years. So in that case, our research work will be understood as a very latest or current research work. Otherwise, if we are including most of the papers which is very old, it may not get a weightage while publication. And all the research papers should be very relevant. That means very close to the factors which we are going to study, very close to the theories which we are going to examine, or very close to the concept which we are going to establish between these factors. So these are the basic idea behind writing the introduction and the important factor which we have to discuss, which we have to keep it in mind when we are discussing the introduction. Next, we have the methods. So usually when we see the journal criteria, journal directions about organizing an article, you will find after introduction, most of the journals will discuss about the methods, or they will ask to write the methods. In some journals, you may also have the topic of literature review, which can be added later on. And in that specifically, we will discuss about the literature or the research papers which we have seen, which we have collected. So before that, methods becomes an important aspect. Here, we say that if we have the particular research gap, or if we have a particular problem, which we have already discussed in the introduction, now, what is the particular process, what is the technique through which we are going to address the research question, or what is the process through which we are going to address the research gap? That comes under the research design or study design. That we can take example of qualitative research design, quantitative research design, survey research design. So these are the different types of design through which we carry out the entire research process. So if it is a qualitative research design, we think about observation, we think about case study, we think about conducting an interview, or we think about collecting the data by observation. If it is a quantitative research design, we think about survey, we think about collecting samples from different people based upon some numerical values, such as some researchers can use the Likert scale, percentage analysis, or ranking and order. And here we also discuss about the sampling, that what is the particular method of sampling. You might have heard about random sampling, probability sampling, non-probability sampling methods. So under the methods section, we have to discuss that why we are adopting probability sampling, why we are adopting non-probability sampling, why we are going for a case study method, why we are going for an intervention. What is the reason behind it, that we have to write in the method section. And we have to give who are the respondents, how we have selected particular respondents. Either it is based upon their age, based upon the particular disease, based upon the particular locality, or based upon particular interest, or based upon a particular community. What is the time when we have collected the data, how we have collected the data. That means either we have personally collected the data, or we have sent the questionnaire online. Either we have conducted the telephonic interview or mail interview. So each and everything we have to include in the method section. Moving further, we have to also discuss about the measurement tools. That means when we collect the data, how we are going to measure the analysis, what kind of tools we are going to apply, what kind of analysis will be there, what kind of statistical tests we are going to adopt. For example, either we are using SPSS software or AMOS, Listral, R, or MaxQDA for qualitative study. What kind of test we are going to do? We are going to do chi-square test, ANOVA, MANOVA, or if it is a factor analysis, structural equation modeling. So there are a number of statistical tests that we have to write, which are the particular test and analysis or tool we are going to do, and what is the reason behind it. So basically in method section, we have to include each and every step which we are adopting for research, doing the research, and we have to give a logical explanation why only this we are choosing. For example, if I take example of sampling, there may be a probability sampling and non-probability sampling. If we are going for non-probability sampling, we have to give justification that why we are going to choose the non-probability sampling. What is the reason behind it and how it is useful for this particular research. So in that way, we have to give a logical explanation of the steps which we have taken during doing the research paper. So that all will be reflected in the method section. In case of health sciences or life sciences also, when we are dealing with live organism, when we are dealing with human being, we may need to take ethical approval, we may need to take permission from the patients. So that also has to be included in the method section, whether we have taken it or not, in what terms and conditions we have taken it, that each and everything has to be included. So now in writing the method section, we can follow the order also, like materials used. We have to discuss about the measurement, what kind of methods we have done, and what kind of chronology, that means or fashion. We have to list the methods in same fashion as of the results. That means there should be a coherence between the methods and presentation of the results. For example, there may be sometimes methods of data collection that we have done maybe 2-3 steps of data collection. We started with one case, then moved on to the different cases. We started with one technique, then we moved on to the second technique and third technique. Or sometimes differential data collections will be there, or different methods of data collection will be there. More than one method of data collection is there. So similarly, in the same fashion, in the results section, we have to provide the results also. So we have to match between the representation of the methods and the results. So that we have to keep it in the mind. Then most important to the least important. That means we have to discuss the methods which are most important in first hand, and then we come to the least important methods. We have to use always the passive voice and past tense while writing the methods, which we will see in detail in the next day of the seminar, for which we will see that how we have to write, what kind of tense we are using. So usually it is suggested that we have to use the passive voice. So if you notice a research paper very genuinely or very strictly, you will see that researchers will never use the term like I or we. They will always say that this method has been adopted. The result shows so and so, or these are the implications. These are the benefits can be made. They don't use I, we, or you. These kind of verbs will not be used. There will not be any active voice uses in writing the papers. So we have to always focus upon writing in passive voice. And then we have to mention the qualitative nature and quantitative nature of the data. So what kind of data we are using, what kind of methods are there, what kind of research is there, we have to mention very clearly. So these are the few important things which we can mention or which we have to focus while writing the method section of the research paper. Now we move on to the next section, which comes as results. So once we have given about the methods, we have to move on to the results. As I said that in some research papers, we find usually they will be giving directions about introduction, methods, and results. Somewhere they will very clearly mention that we have to give a literature review section specifically and separately. Or else in the method section, we can include the literature review. We can discuss about the literatures which we have gone through. This literature review can be mentioned in the introduction as well. So because whenever we are discussing about the earlier research, when we are trying to highlight the research gap or the problem related to the topic, that actually comes from the literature which we have referred. So literature review can be a part of introduction. It can be part of methods also. So for example, if we are going for a random sampling, suppose, or if we are going for a probability sampling, take it for example. So we can always quote a research which has happened earlier in the similar area, and they have adopted a random sampling method. They have adopted a non-probability sampling method. They have gone for a single case study, or they have gone for a particular intervention kind of thing. So we are always free to quote or to use the earlier research in each and every section of the writing. We can use the literature review in introduction. We can use the literature review in methods. We always use the literature review in results and discussions also. So in each and every section, we can use the literature review. We can say what is the match and mismatch. We can quote the earlier research. Now coming to the results, we see that there is a particular fashion of presenting the results also. As I said that we have to match the sequence between the methods and results. So usually when we are presenting the result of a research output, we start with the demographic characteristics. That means what kind of samples were there, from where they are coming, what is the percentage of sample. It may be a percentage of male and female. It may be a percentage pie chart or graph chart of related to their age, related to their maybe profession, related to their social status, related to their nucleus or joint family. So whatever basic characteristics are there with our data set or with our respondents, that comes under demographic characteristics. So we shall always start with the results of demographic characteristics. It can be given in all the demographic characteristics can be presented in one table also, and then we can interpret one by one. We can write about them. We can discuss what is the highest percentage, what is the lowest percentage, and what is the logic behind it, what may be the logic behind it. So when we are writing the results under demographic characteristics, we are not going to report only the results. We have to just add few logical explanation to that also, that why it is happening, which is high, which is low, and what may be the reason. We can write in 1 or 2 lines along with that. Second, results of analysis. Whatever analysis we have done after application of tool, moving ahead from demographic, such as if we have asked them questions, if we have taken interviews, we have done observations, or we have done some kind of intervention, then we can include that also. We can include from the interview, which we have collected from the observation, or which we have collected from the any type of intervention. So the analysis which we have done, that means if we have done chi-square, if we have done some t-test, if we have applied some ANOVA or factor analysis, so those results will come in second order, in second. Then third, statistical significance. Once we have given these analysis, we also mention what is the statistical significance of particular test, why we have adopted particular test, and what kind of results are coming. We will present all these type of results outputs in form of tables and figures. So now we are free to choose particular figures, such as either we are going for pie chart, bar chart, or histogram. But usually, if we are writing a research paper in social sciences, we generally avoid giving different types of figures or charts. Tables will be useful for social sciences. But if we talk about life science or health science related journals or papers, we can equally use the figures also, because their figures are having a great importance when we are presenting some type of pie chart, bar chart, or graph chart. we can see frequent examples or frequently used by the researchers in different journals also, and different quality journals also. So here, most of the time, we say that in results section, we are reporting the output. We are not going to discuss the results, or we are not going to highlight the similarity or dissimilarity of our result with the earlier research. That we don't do in results section. We keep it reserved for the future sections. So here mostly we are reporting the results which are highest, which is lowest, which is mediocre. What is the particular value, whether our value is above the prescribed limit or lower than the prescribed limit. Such as, if we take example in social sciences, we use the term of p-value. So we can discuss whether the value is significant or not, whether it is more than p-value or less than p-value, prescribed p-value. Or if it is a case of health sciences, we can discuss for a particular type of rotation, particular type of observation, particular frequency, particular type of movement of particular organ of the body. So that we can discuss here. We can write whether it is low, high, above, or less, or more, that we have to report. While we don't discuss about the importance of these things, or we don't discuss about similarity and dissimilarity, that we keep reserved for the discussion section, which is coming in future. The next, we have the discussion section in which we have to take important points from the result, and we have to state and explain most of the findings which we have discussed in the results. So we have to say, suppose, for example, if we have discussed in the results section that the output is, or the value is high and low. So here in discussion section, we will start with that particular point. We will mention that why it has come high. If it is high, what kind of effect may be there on the patient? If it is a high value, what kind of interpretation we can make? Or what is the result on the data? What is the result on the respondents? And what will be the importance of this? How it can be applied in the industry? How it can be applied by the particular practitioners, and how it is useful for the future research. So these kind of major logical explanations or benefits, pros and cons can be bring together in the discussion section, which is not there in result. In results, we are merely reporting the result. We may discuss about high, low, mediocre values. We may discuss about the particular results which are coming. But here in discussion section, we have to discuss about the results, why it is coming high, why it is coming low. And if it is high, what may be the reason? If it is low, what may be the reason? If it is high, what kind of benefits will be there? If there are any setbacks, we will discuss. We will also discuss that if it is high, then earlier researchers have also found that these results are coming in high values. So we can establish a connection between our research output and the earlier research output in the discussion section. So here we are free to discuss about the matching of the results, similarity of the results from earlier research. We shall also report the dissimilarity of the results from the earlier research. Sometimes what happens that we feel very happy when our results are matching with the earlier researchers. And if we are getting a different result, if we are getting a negative results, we fear to report in our research paper, which is not so good practice. We are always free to discuss about the dissimilar results also. Politely we can mention, and we can give a reason also that if our results are coming slightly different in comparison to the earlier research, what may be the reason? We can give a logical explanation. It may be a reason which is associated with a particular data set. It may be a reason because we have adopted particular tool, because we have adopted a different timing of data collection, because maybe we have taken a different set of respondents. They are suffering with a different situation. That may be a reason. So we can openly discuss what may be the reason why our results are different, and then our research will become very good. So not only the positive results, but we have to discuss about the negative results also if we have got from our data analysis. And we have to give a logical explanation for that. So logical argument can be made, and then We can freely report the negative results also. There will not be any problem while publication or reporting. So we have to relate, we have to compare the results, we have to contrast the findings to this earlier research which has happened. And then we have to give alternative explanations of the findings also. If our results are negative, what kind of explanation will be there? Further, moving ahead, we can give the implication and recommendation in the discussion section. That means if our results have come after so-and-so studying so-and-so factors, after adopting so-and-so methods and techniques, how these techniques can be applied for a different set of data or with a different set of patients or with a different set of location, how it can be applied. Whether the similar kind of results will come or not, we can discuss, we can say. Or we can give future course of recommendation also. Somewhere you would have seen in discussion section in research papers that authors will discuss about the future course of action, that what kind of studies can be done, what are the different factors which can be included in the future research, or what are the areas in this research paper which we have not touched so far, we have not discussed, but in future researchers can discuss these type of factors. They can include these kind of methods as well. So these kind of future research directions can be given in the discussion section, which becomes an important point for the future researchers. So they can carry on the research from our research. Our research will become a basis for them, and they will start adding different factors, different methods to our research, and they can also write. In that way, they will quote our research paper. We will get citations in future very well. So always whenever we are writing a paper, we shall include that what kind of research is possible in the similar directions. What kind of alternative methods are there to adopt for the similar studies that we are free to mention. We can also mention the limitations, that what is the reason that we have gone for a limited number of data collection? What is the reason that we have gone to a particular group of data, particular group of respondents? So there may be limitation related to time, there may be limitation related to the resources, money, or maybe limitation related to knowledge of the researcher. So each and everything can be reported under limitations also. So these are the important things which we can include. There are few things which we have to avoid also while writing the discussion. For example, data representation should not be there in the discussion, as data representation means the representing the data or the output in tabular format or picture format. That we have already done in the research results section. That is why we need not to include again in the discussion. We shall avoid from doing a repetitive work in the discussion also. Then giving reference for the study design, that is not required. That is a matter of reporting in the method section. But sometimes it happens that we make a mistake and we give reference for the study design in the discussion. That should not be necessary. Then over interpretation of the results. So when we are interpreting the results, when we are discussing about the results, there should not be a long discussion. There should be an ample amount of words given, ample amount of lines given, but we shall not exaggerate the results. We shall not discuss more than the required. And we should be discussing it within the given word limit. So there will be a word limit prescribed by each and every journal. So within that word limit, we have to allot particular words to the discussion section. And whenever we are discussing something, discussing the results of the research output, we shall not make speculations. So we can, when we are stating about future scope of the research, we can say, we are free to say that these are the so-and-so factors which can be checked in future studies. These are the methods, or this method can be discussed with a different set of data. That we can say very well, but we cannot say that what kind of results will come. That is like making a speculation, forecasting something. So forecasting or speculations are not required to mention in discussion, because we don't know these things will be proven true or false. So we shall avoid making any type of speculations or giving any type of forecasting in the discussion section. We can always mention about the different factors, different methods which can be checked with the same set of data or different set of data. But what will be the nature of result, that we cannot discuss, because we don't know. We have not done data collection, or we have not done any type of analysis for the new things. So we shall avoid making any type of speculation in the discussion section. And as I said that when we are discussing our results, we have to find that what is the similarity between our research output and what is the dissimilarity between our research output in comparison with the earlier research. So we have to do a contrasting. We shall not criticize other results. Sometimes we may tend to write that the results which are found by the earlier research are not so good as we have found it. So these are the negative sentences. We shall avoid using these kind of direct and negative sentence. We can say that our results are showing our research shows these kind of results which have given the positive benefit to the patient or positive benefit to the consumers or the users, whereas we have also evidence from the earlier research that these things are not working in line, or earlier researchers have found that these results are coming in a different nature, or these methods are working in a different way. So that way we have to contrast. We have to say that there is a match and mismatch between our results and the earlier research. And we shall also give some logical explanation that what may be the reason of this match and mismatch. Either we have found something new, or because of different data sets it is happening, or because of different location it is happening, or because of different types of situation or different types of environment it is happening. Although factors are same, but environment is different, different data set is there, or different type of respondents we have chosen. So that we can discuss, and logically we can say that if we have found that results are matching, or if we have found that our results are not similar or not in line with the earlier research, this may be the reason. So likewise, we have to give a logical explanation also, that is called as contrasting of the results with the other studies. So we shall not directly criticize. We cannot say that our results are only good and results of other authors are bad. So we cannot say. So these are the few things which we need to avoid while writing the discussion section. Moving ahead, we have the conclusion, which we need to write in the not so last, but after conclusion also we have acknowledgement references. So conclusion is a section where we give a brief summary of the results and discussion. In conclusion, we don't discuss anything which we have already discussed in the introduction section, or we don't discuss about the objectives which we have already discussed in the introduction section. Somewhere you will see when we are writing conclusion section, we discuss that our objective was so and so, or the objective of this particular study is so and so. That is a wrong, not so good or not so preferred method of writing the conclusion. So here we have to discuss in brief what kind of results and discussions have happened, or how we have matched and mismatched the results. And we can also always discuss who are the beneficiary of the study. That means for whom this study is going to be beneficial. What kind of patients can be benefited? What kind of practitioners can be benefited? What may be the managerial implication of our study, or for which type of data, for which type of respondents this study is applicable. And we can make some claims which are most general claims that can be supported by the evidence, such as if we have given example that if we have proved that this particular method is applicable, or these factors are mostly responsible for these kind of results. So that can be discussed. We can support with the evidence. We can quote other researchers also in the conclusion. We can bring some component of literature review here also. That means we can make use of some citations. We can quote some authors. We can cite some authors in the conclusion section also. And then we have to give the implications of finding. That means how these findings are applicable, for which type of respondents it may be useful, for which type of patients it is useful, how these things can be used by the other researchers also, and how future course of directions can be fixed with help of our research output. So that can be given. If there is any particular direction for implication of particular method, that can be included. Or if there is any particular suggestion from our side that while applying these kind of methods, there are some inclusions, exclusions criteria, or there are some type of warning if we have to give, if there is a particular type of suggestion which has to be taken care, that can be included in the implications of findings we can include. And then recommendations we can also give. So those kind of suggestions which I am talking about, like suggestions or pros and cons highlighting, or some type of warnings can be given, some type of remedial statements can be given, that comes under the recommendation section. So we can recommend that for which type of industry it is applicable, for which type of particular situations it can be applied. So these things can be given under the conclusion. So these are the main points which we have to take care when we are writing a conclusion section of any research paper. And it is not specially fixed for qualitative or quantitative. Any type of paper which we are writing, qualitative, quantitative, we can focus on these type of directions, or we can keep it in mind, these points. The next section, which is less frequently added in the research paper, or which is less frequently asked by the journals also. But if we go with the good quality of journals from good publishers, Elsevier, Trillon Francis, Wiley, or Science Direct, they always ask to mention about the acknowledgements. Acknowledgement means acknowledging the participation or acknowledging the resources which we have used in our research paper or while carrying out our research, such as if we have taken, suppose we have done a qualitative study and we have taken interview from government officials, or we have taken interview, or we have done observations of a particular patient, which is very hard to find, very with a lot of requests, they have agreed to give their response. So we should be obliged towards those persons who have given time to fill our data or fill our questionnaire, or who have been ready to give their responses to us, who have been ready to give their interview to us. So we can give credit to those persons if they are very important. So credits to the persons. Then if our research work has a particular type of funding, suppose we are writing a research paper out of a research project, or suppose we are doing a PhD and we are availing a JRF fellowship. So we can always write that funding for this research paper or for this research work have been given by so-and-so agency. If it is a ICSSR, UGC, or maybe DST, or any other funding agency, we can include. Then if any particular organizations are involved in writing while doing the research paper, suppose if I am writing a literature review paper, and then for collection of research papers, I have visited different organizations where they have the journal subscription. So I can mention these organizations, university, colleges names that they have allowed me to collect the papers, to collect the data. So their organization's name can be involved. If we have included any advisor, suppose if we have taken any advices from different people, a part of our PhD guide or a part of our mentors, we can include their names. If they have given any good advices while doing the research, then we can include their name. Any particular financial supporters also, if there is a financial supporter, that means any individual who have supported us financially, who have given particular time, he have given particular suggestion, their names can be included. Sometimes we also give thanks to the reviewers of the paper, because when we submit our paper to any particular journal, it goes under review process, maybe double-blind review, single or triple also. So we can mention a thank you note to the reviewers also, because they have reviewed our paper and they have enhanced the quality of our paper after giving suggestions, post-review method. So because of them, we have reconstructed the paper, we have added something, We have deleted something which was unwanted in the paper sections, and ultimately our quality of the paper has been increased or has been enhanced with help of reviewer's suggestion. So we can always mention a thank you note in acknowledgement section for the reviewers also. We can give a thank you note to the journal editor also. And if there are any proofreaders, suppose we have given our research paper to a language expert to correct the grammatical portions of the English or correct the syntax of the particular language, we have got it typed from a particular person, so that credit can be given to them. So these are the few things, most of the things which can be included in the acknowledgement. Now, it depends upon our wish also in some conditions, like if we are targeting to publish our research paper in some peer-reviewed journals. So in those journals, there may not be a very clear direction to include the acknowledgement. But if we go for a good journal publications, they will be clearly asking that we have to write acknowledgement, at least anything. Sometimes we write acknowledgement for the authors also. Suppose I have written a paper in which there are 4 authors and I am doing a PhD. So obviously I will be as a first author or maybe my guide, and then my guide's name will come. So there may be another 2-3 authors who have helped us maybe in data collection, or some author is having expertise in data analysis, who have done data analysis for us. And we have included their names in the author of the paper. So in acknowledgement section, we can mention the participation or donation of each author, that so-and-so author has helped in framing the article, or so-and-so author has helped in designing the article, or so-and-so author has helped in carrying out the research work, or in particularly data analysis. So the role of authors or participation of authors in their respective area can be highlighted, can be given a credit in the acknowledgement section. That is also an important point which we can write if it is applicable for our author, for our paper, that we can write clearly. So these are the few things which we have to include in acknowledgement section. So moving ahead, we have references. So when we try to write references, we have to clearly follow or strictly follow the journal guidelines. So depending upon the journals, we find that there are different types of referencing given. Somebody may be asking about the APA formatting of references and citations. Some journals may prefer for Vancouver, then Chicago style, or any other type of journal articles. There is a journal reference given by IEEE also. So there are a few different types of referencing formats which will be clearly given by the journals. So as per the journal style, we have to follow the references. Some journals will ask you, like for APA, if it is APA referencing style, they will ask you to arrange all the references in an alphabetical order. If it is maybe Chicago style or Vancouver, they may ask you to number the references as per the citations. So those references which have been used in first citations, we have to write in first and second. So there will not be any alphabetical order. So while writing the references, we have to strictly follow the journal guideline in which they are asking the references to be given, and citations both. So that will be related with the journal preferences. And there is no as such ideal number of references to be given in a paper. It depends upon the particular title or area in which we are doing the research. Suppose we are doing a research we have done a research in an area which is very new, where a lot of papers have not been published. So in that way, even if we are quoting around 50 articles or 15 sources in our reference, that will be a best article. But suppose we have chosen a particular area of research which has been exhausted very well, there are a lot of research happened in that area, then we may need to write something around 80 or 100 references we need to give in writing a research paper. So it depends upon the area in which we are writing. There is no particular direction about the number of references to be used in a particular research paper by any journal. Journal editor or journal scope or aims or journal direction will never tell us that what should be the number of references to be used in an article. That is not given by any journal so far. So that is the case of references. We need to strictly follow the journal references, journal direction. So these are the, I guess, the important points or the important headings which we have to include in our research paper. Or we can say better, in a better word, that these are the important sections which should be there ideally in a particular research paper. Moving ahead, if it is a review article, suppose sometimes we are writing a review article, in that particularly we have to include the literature review section, which will come in a literature, in a organization of the research output. But a part of this review article, most of the journals will be asking about introduction, methods, then results, discussion, and conclusion, followed by the acknowledgement and references. So that will be the ideal structure for most of the journals. Now, I will discuss in a brief that what is the writing process, whereas I have kept this topic in reserve for the tomorrow's section, that once we know that what are the different sections about the article, or what are the different sections we have to include in the article, and what are the methods to write the different sections, what are the things which we have to include, what we have to avoid. Once we have the enough fair idea about these sections, then there will always be a question that which section should be taken by the researchers at first hand. As I said, that sometimes when we have the once we have, excuse me, sometimes when we get a news about the particular conference, we immediately write the abstract, and when we give it and we send it to the conference organizer. So that is not a right way to start with the article. And what we do after sending the abstract, once it is getting published or once it is getting accepted, we start writing for the paper. Now we start writing, collecting the review papers, we start writing the literature review, and then we go for data collection. So this is not at all the right way to start with the research or start with the research article. So always we have to take care that abstract will be written in the last, which we will see. So always we have to start with the data analysis, results, and tables and figures once we have collected the data. So this will be the ideal method with the time, such as once we have all the process. So data analysis, results, tables, and figures is the first section with which we have to start. Once we have collected the data, then we have to go for data analysis. We have to start with the data analysis. First, we apply different tool, collect the results, make the output in different tables and figures, then go to the literature review. Then we have to opt the methods, results, discussion, conclusion, introduction, and abstract. So here, someone of us may be surprised to see that abstract, keywords, and title has to be written in the last. Why? Because in the beginning, you might remember that I discussed that abstract is a portion, abstract, keyword, and title are the sections which are acting as a promotional material for our article. That means when I said that abstract will be a brief section in which we are mentioning about the area, we are mentioning about the research method, we are mentioning the objective, we are mentioning the snippets of the results, we are also mentioning the implications in the abstract. So these all information can be given in the abstract once each and every section has been completed. So abstract is having a little bit of introduction, abstract is having a result, abstract is also discussing about the methods, whether it is qualitative, quantitative. Abstract is also discussing a little bit of objective, what is the aim of the paper. Abstract is also discussing about the implications or the results which are coming from data analysis. It is also discussing about literature review when we are saying what is the literature gap, or when we are mentioning in abstract that what is the problem which we are going to address. So when abstract is acting as a promotional material, when abstract is having the brief idea about each and every section of the paper, then it is highly impossible that without writing other sections, we go for abstract writing directly. So that is a highly negative way to start writing a paper. So first we have to start with the data analysis slowly. In the last, we have to reach to the abstract keywords and the title. So while selecting the keywords also, we see that what are the different words which we have used frequently throughout the research paper. That will become our keywords. So entire paper has to be structured first, then we will decide what may be the keyword for our research work. And then we go for the title, which will be suited and which will have different type of sections in the title, which accumulately or will be under the 10 to 15 words limit that we have to decide. So when we are selecting the title, when we are fixing a title for research paper, there we are free to include many things such as area. We can include the data type. We can include the research method. We can include the tools also. We can include the method also which we have adopted. Either it is qualitative, quantitative, survey method, observation, or any type of intervention. But including all, we have to from 15 words. It may be less than 10 also. It may be 7 words also. That is fine. But we shall not cross the maximum limit at any point of time. And including all these words, it should give a sentence type of structure. Not exactly sentence, because it will not have any verb or verb, but it will have subject, it will have object also, but it will not have a verb. Sometimes we may include explore words like exploring, evaluating, examining. These things can be given in the title, which will reflect the process of the paper or the process of analysis also. So these are the few steps, these are the important steps, or we can say better, the chronology of the writing of a paper. And these are the few references which I have used.
Excuse me, sir.
Throughout the presentation. So
Hello.
I will welcome if you have any questions.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you, but your voice is little fainted. Can you speak little louder or come closer to the microphone?
Yeah. Sir, now this in the last slide which you showed the process, writing process.
Yes.
Okay, there you have given the data analysis as the first one. Now, is this process for the thesis or it's for the article?
For any type of article, sir. Either
Sir,
you are writing the article or you are doing the thesis also. So when you are,
sir,
it is basically for an article, but most of the time it will be followed for the thesis also. For example, when you are writing a thesis, what happens that when we see the structure of thesis is little different from the article. And the timeline or the time period which we are giving while writing a thesis is very long in comparison to writing the article. Okay. So while writing the article, we can write parallelly other sections also, such as literature review, basically, that can be done. Or the method section can be done parallelly with the data analysis. But while writing the papers, what happens that once we have completed the thesis writing, or once we are in between the thesis writing, we can decide sometimes that while during the course of PhD also, if we have to publish a paper, then we see that content has been accumulated or we have the enough content for writing a particular paper or not. So if we have a particular content, suppose we have designed our PhD thesis in such a way that we are discussing about several factors, or we are discussing about several stages of intervention, suppose. So from the first intervention or from the first few factors, if we want to publish a paper, so that can be done. Once we have collected the content for first intervention or first observation or first few factors, then we can go for the writing the research paper. And then we have to follow this method. So whatever tables and figures are there, we have to arrange first. We have to take an output, and then we have to write the interpretation of that. Then we go to the literature review section. So there we can follow it.
Sir, generally the understanding is that first we do the review and then from there we take the research question. and then we do the data. Then we collect the data.
Yes, sir.
So is this
Yes. You are
the
saying the right
process, right,
thing,
sir?
but there is a little difference which I am saying. I am saying you what is the process of writing research paper, right? So if you see the title of the seminar also, it is writing a research paper. It's not doing a research, understood? So you are talking about doing a research. What is the way in which you are talking about research process? I am talking about process of writing a research paper. So when we do a research, for sure, 100%, we have to start with the literature review. We have to find the research gap, we have to find a problem, and then we start taking the other steps of the research process. Here I am talking about writing a research paper. What is the process of writing a research paper? So that will be applicable only when your research is over. Now you want to publish your research. Now you want to publish your output. So in that, we have to follow this paper. So this is not the process of doing a research. It's the process of writing a research paper once you have completed your research work. I guess now it will be clear for you.
Okay,
Yes?
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions if I have?
Sir, another question is that normally
Yes.
how much time does it take to get acceptance from a journal?
Okay, so it depends upon the journal requirements, sir, or the journal acceptance rate also. So usually if I talk from my experience, if I talk about journals which are indexed in Scopus Web of Science, they will take minimum 3 months time and on an average 6 months time. Because there is an idea also when you have to publish in a particular journal, you see the journal matrices. There they will mention that what is the first response rate. Suppose today we have submitted a paper to a particular journal, they will very well mention that our first response time is 30 days. That means within 30 days maximum, they will give you a first decision whether your paper has been taken for review or not. Some journals are very prompt. They will give you timeline of 1 week only. Within 1 week, they will give you a response. So it depends upon the quality of journal and the number of papers which are being submitted to the journal every day or every month. So they will very clearly mention in the journal matrices section that what is the first response rate. They will also mention that once you have the acceptance of the paper for publication, then what will be the timeline in between that your journal will be published. Suppose today they have given you a mail that your paper has been accepted for publication. And then from today onwards, how much time they will take in publishing your journal online. They may take sometimes 15 days, 20 days. Some journals will take 1 month also. But ideally, 6 months is the time period which they will take because of review process also. So maybe between 3 to 6 months we can take, which is an average timeline for most of the good quality journals. In top tier journals, suppose if you are from health sciences or if you are from social sciences, if you are seeing that top 7 journals in your area, they may take 1 year timeline also sometimes because they are having more of the journal submission, paper submission. So they will take more time. The reviewers will also take more time, but ideal time will be around 3 to 6 months for most of the journals.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, you have been also a reviewer of a journal. So, can you just tell us, like, what are the common mistakes or errors that Indian authors generally make for getting acceptance?
Yeah, there are few mistakes which I see from the journals. Like I have been reviewing papers from Say's, Taylor and Francis. I have done, then Elsevier also, including all. I would say it will be around 20 papers which I would have reviewed so far from these journals. Otherwise, there are many peer-reviewed journals also. But the usual mistake, what will happen that most of the papers which are submitted in these reputed publishers or these indexing agencies, what happens that authors will mention the methods which they have adopted, but they will fail to give the logical explanation why they have adopted particular methods. Because if we mention directly that our study has gone for a random sampling or a probability sampling, or we have included so-and-so the logical explanation also that why we have gone for particular this type of sampling. That is first we mention, or we see that whether they have given the logical explanation for each and every step or not. Second, we also see that what kind of context they have set in the introduction section. As I said in introduction, that we have to discuss about the background of the study, then what is the evolution in this particular area, what kind of research has happened, what kind of gaps are there, what is the limitation discussed by. So these are the chronology in which we have to discuss in introduction. So most of the time authors will fail to establish the context, or they will fail to establish a relationship between the earlier studies and what they are aiming to study. So these two are the common mistakes. And third, in discussion section, we find the common mistake that in discussion, what we do, we mostly discuss about the results which we have achieved, but rarely or very less number of authors are there or papers are there in which we see that they have discussed or they have contrasted the facts. That means they have established a similarity and dissimilarity with the earlier research. So we give a clear instruction. We ask them that you refer to the earlier research and give a clear similarity or dissimilarity, whether it is right or wrong, what kind of results are there with the earlier researcher. So that we give some comments in form of review, and then we expect them to complete these things. So these are the common things which we find that clearly not mentioned in the research papers.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we see, Chandramohan sir, can we see the chat if there are any questions given in that?
Yes, sir. There are questions, sir.
Hello.
Sir, from Sudha Natesh,
Hello.
there
Yes,
is a
sir.
question. What is the difference between reference and bibliography?
Okay.
And she asked another one more question. Tell us some of reference tools available currently.
Okay. So there is a little bit difference between reference and bibliography. So what happens that suppose when we are doing a research work, we tend to collect as many as research papers available. But suppose for our research work, we have collected maybe 200 research papers. And when we are, because we are selecting the research papers in beginning, in the first round, merely based upon the title and abstract. And we found that it is good one, and we have selected, we have downloaded, kept for our use. And when we are writing the research paper, actually, we find that a particular research paper is not so good for our research. But it has given some idea. We are not going to cite that research paper, but we have got some idea about the title or about the research paper. So that research paper can be included even if it has not been cited in the research work. In that way, the entire section will be called as bibliography. And references will have all those sources which we have used in our study. So basically, you can say the difference that when we are quoting, when we are giving any resource in reference section, that has to be used in the research paper in form of citations. So every reference needs to be cited in the research paper, but every bibliography detail need not to be cited in the research paper. So suppose in references, if I have given reference of 80 papers, all the 80 papers will be cited in the research paper. But if we are keeping the name in place of reference, we are keeping the name bibliography. So in bibliography, there may be details of 100 sources, but we may have used only 50 or only 80 citations can be given in the research paper. So that is the difference between reference and bibliography. So reference is having only those sources which we have used or which we have cited in the research paper. Bibliography may have more sources than we have used or we have cited in our research paper. So that is the basic difference between research, between references and bibliography. Any next question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Any
Yes,
other
sir. Yes,
questions?
sir. It's appearing from Vincent Prabhakaran Shekhar. If a paper is survey-based study, then what type of study it is?
Okay. So we can say that it is a survey design paper. That's it. Now in survey design also, you may have different types of studies, you can say. Maybe it's a probability or non-probability, but that will not reflect in the title. It will reflect in the method section we can discuss in detail. But if it is a survey method, we have adopted survey method for collecting the data from the respondents. We can always say a survey design study. That we can
Yes,
include
sir.
in the title as well.
Okay, sir. The next question is from Usma Perveen. So what is meta-analysis in literature review?
Okay. So meta-analysis is a method which was earlier also used for literature, for papers which are based upon literature review only. And now we see that there are different forms of meta-analysis and systematic literature review also. So in meta-analysis, what happens that we track back the records of a particular paper. Suppose we have collected for a literature review paper, for a review-based paper, suppose we have collected 100 papers related to that area. So for each and every paper, we go for networking, like what is the particular citation of the particular paper, who has written it, from which institution it has been written. So I will give you an example from a different perspective. Suppose, I guess everybody is using Facebook nowadays. So when you see a Facebook profile, your profile, you can check that what is your number of friends in the Facebook. That is your networking area or networking scope. Now you can check who all are your friends in your networking in Facebook. And when you go to their profile, you can also check that how many friends they have, what kind of friends they have, what is the age group of their friends. So likewise, when we collect 100 research papers for writing a review paper for our topic, we see that all 100 papers are cited by how many authors, what is their affiliation, and how many authors they have cited, how many research papers they have quoted. So in meta-analysis, what happens that we do analysis of a particular research paper also in a different way or in a maximum way which is possible. So for meta-analysis, we always need a particular type of software, which we cannot do. But if we are going for systematic literature review, that we can do without having a software also. But always for meta-analysis, we have a software. Always for meta-analysis papers, if you see, they will have different types of pictures also given. And pictures will be looking like a result of structural equation modeling, or pictures will be looking like of different types of connections. Like this paper have been cited by so many authors. These authors are belonging from which type of institution, which location, which country, how many times they have been cited, in which journal they have been cited. Each and every type of information will be retrieved, and that will be given in a tabular format or pictorial format. So that way we call it as a meta-analysis. Whereas systematic literature review is slightly different from that. And if it is a case of maintaining the references, we have Mendeley software, we have Zotero also, which is available. So both can be used for referencing. Or sometimes we can do manually also if we are good enough in maintaining. But always, if we are using any particular software, Mendeley or Zotero, it will save our time. Within one click, we can change the format of referencing from APA to Chicago to Vancouver or to any other format also. Easily, it can be changed. That is the benefit of using any particular referencing software.
So the next
Any
question
other
is
question?
from Shiva
Yes, sir.
Sankari, and her question is how to choose a right journal for publications.
Yes, for choosing a particular journal, there may be different types of requirement which we can use. For example, I will say there are, as I said in the answer given for the first or second question, that whenever we are browsing a journal publisher or a journal home page, we have to look for a tab which is called a journal matrices. So there we have different criteria, such as what is the minimum response time, what is the average review time, what is the journal acceptance rate. So if I say a good journal or a decent journal which is coming from a good publisher indexed in a good indexing agency, it will have an acceptance rate of around 10%. That means if 100 articles are being submitted, 90 articles are being rejected, either at the first instance while submitting the article or during the review process, they have been rejected because the authors have failed to work upon the reviewer's direction. They have not been able to introduce many things, or they might have falsified their statements or given the wrong results. That may be happening. So because of that, out of 190 papers have been rejected. So only 10 papers stand a good chance to be accepted for publications. So they will mention it as an acceptance rate. So 10% is ideal. Some journals will have acceptance rate of 20 to 25% also. So you have to check the journal wisely. The journal which is taking minimum response time, which is having more acceptance rate, and which is having less time in publication after giving a positive decision. So that journal we can prefer for sending our papers. And we have to also be careful that the journal aims and scope should be matching with our area of the paper. For example, suppose if one journal is focusing upon consumer behavior, and if we are writing some particular article which is focusing upon technology implication, we cannot send there because the journal scope is different and our article scope is different. So it is a mismatch. So even if we are sending, they may reject our paper and it will be a negative setback for us. So we have to see the journal aims and scope. It should be matching. We have to see the minimum response time, acceptance rate, and journal indexing also. That journal should be coming from a good publisher and journal should be indexed in maybe UGC Care or Scopus or Web of Science. So these are the few criteria which we can see before selecting the journal. Any other questions, sir?
Yes, sir. From Daisy Sandra. Sir, cross-sectional study design also can be mentioned for survey if I am not wrong.
Yes, cross-sectional and time series, both cross-sectional can be taken because there is a difference between cross-sectional and time series. Whenever we are talking about time series, see cross-sectional data collection, all type of survey, all type of interviews comes under cross-sectional study only. It is not a time series analysis and all. Time series analysis or time series data collection will be applicable mostly for finance-related studies. If it is related to share market, stock market, or if it is related to data collection over a period of time, such as if I want to collect data from last 1 year, that is called as time series. So that cannot be called. But if we are going for a survey design, where I am going to collect response within 1 month time period from a particular type of respondents, it is always called as cross-sectional data. The next one.
So the next question is from Sudha. Sir, reference writing tools, please. Last clarity.
Yes, reference writing tool, I think already we have discussed. We can use Mendeley and Zotero. Both are available.
Yes, sir. The next question is, when we write review paper for IEE publication, what is the guideline we follow?
Which publication? IEEE.
IEEE.
Yes. So see, the directions I cannot give directly because if you ask me what is the reference style, different APA, Chicago, Vancouver, I may remember. I can tell you what is the fashion between APA 6 and 7. But directions is different. I mean, there are a lot of directions IEEE. So I think you need to refer the particular journal or particular direction. That is a matter of remembering, and I don't remember each and every direction coming from different journals or different type of this indexing or publication houses, that we have to refer. It is easily available on their website, and that we can follow.
So the next question is from Shivam. Please guide us on how to identify the research gap.
Okay, that I think that is not possible within time limit of this seminar, but I will give you some idea that finding research gap, we can have a quick idea or quick understanding that whenever we are reading the research paper, as I mentioned in the discussion section, that usually in all the good research papers, author will mention that what is the future scope of research, what kind of factors can be included, and or what kind of with what kind of respondents the same study can be done and checked whether it is applicable for them or not. So this becomes a research gap for the future studies, because it has been already mentioned by the authors, or sometimes author will mention their limitations, that because of this limitation they were not able to check, or they have left this point, it can become a limitation for their study. So these things can be picked up at a research gap. We can easily say that so-and-so authors have mentioned that this can be the future study. It has not been studied by most of the researchers so far. Henceforth, we are considering it as our study, for our study. So it becomes a research gap. So if we have to find the good research gap, we shall always look into the discussion section of the earlier researchers, what they have mentioned as future course of study, or what kind of limitations they have mentioned. So these two things can become our research gap for the next study. So from there we can pick. Next question, sir.
So no more questions in the box.
Okay, so if there are any counter questions, like if I have given answer and there is any more understanding required from the participants' side, they can ask me.
The participants, just put a word that do you have any queries?
Sir, just one this thing observation I had, sir, which it may or may not be applicable, but this is what I feel.
Yes.
Normally, sir, what we see is when we attend any online session or offline session, they will tell about the SPSS softwares and all these other things. These are actually softwares are tools actually. But what in most of the workshops we try to or we miss out is that how to come to the research question, which is the most important part actually. So also I request to organizers if they can have a session on how to frame the research question, the objectives. This would really be helpful for everyone. So
Okay.
this is only what I wanted to say, sir.
Yes, sir. We are planning
Okay,
for
sure.
December sessions. So hope
We will keep it in mind, and that's a very good question actually, because most of the time we struggle. Even I have struggled during my PhD time that, and there will be a big question: what is the difference between research question and research objective? How many numbers should be there? How many research questions we shall frame? And what should be the number of research objectives? Is there any relationship between the research question and research objective? So these are the few questions which I think we need a lot of discussion, or a particular maybe a session on this, that how to identify. So these are the things like research problem, research gap, research question, and research objective. These come in a chronology, starting with the problem, gap, a research question, and research objectives. These all four are related to each other. And based upon objectives, we design the research. We go for the research designing of the questionnaire, then selection of the particular analysis method, and selection of the particular tool, as you said about SPSS. So with which tool, with which software we can apply that particular tool. So these are very much interconnected. So maybe when next time we are planning for a workshop, these kind of things we can include, and very well informed to you as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
very
Thank
much
you
for
very much.
highlighting it.
Any other questions? Okay, dear
Okay.
participants, if you have any further doubts, you can ask us tomorrow or session at 5 for 5. First 5 minutes, we can take it for a discussion, and then we request our resource person to start. So those who have joined for only one day, thanks for joining with us. And we will be sending you a Google, and you have to write your names and other details which we are asking for. So please give your proper email ID so that we can send the certificate through email. And thank you, Prem sir. Thank you, dear participants. We will meet tomorrow by 7 o'clock sharply. We will start the session by 7.
Thank you very much, dear participants, for joining us today. And I would request that those who have registered for both the seminars, both days, we will join at the same time. And Chandramohan sir, can we have a screenshot from all the participants if they are
Almost left to
fine
side.
in
So we request those who are here, those who are comfortable
starting
to
their
come on
cameras
cam,
for
please go on cam. We will take a screenshot. Others. And yes, sir, we can have a screenshot for tomorrow before we start the
Yes.
session.
Yes.
Maybe that will also be fine. Yes. Yes, kindly join. Others also kindly join, please. Those who are here today, kindly join. Join for us 20 to 30 seconds. All of you, if you open a cam, it will be a short duration only. Yes, sir. Yes, good, good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Sir, I'm ending the session.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much.
Welcome.